Yeah, exactly.
I do. I laugh all the time.
Hey guys, welcome to Blended Kingdom Families. My name is Vanessa Martindale. This is my husband, Scott Martindale, and we're the founders of Blended Kingdom Families. And today we have an amazing guest with us.
Yes, we are so excited to have Leslie Barrows of the Barrows firm, Southlake, Texas, family law, certified mediator. It is so amazing to have you with us, and we're so excited to dive into the material as we talk about litigation and all the things that are related to family law and things like that. So first, Leslie, welcome. It's great to have you.
Yeah, glad to have you, Leslie.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. As we get started, Leslie, just tell us a little bit about you, your practice, and kind of your background.
Okay. I live here in Southlake. I have 3 boys, awesome. And I have a 13-year-old and 2 10-year-olds. So we are staying very busy with around the house and around the law firm.
Yeah.
So I've been practicing family law since 2005, and I've been in Southlake since 2007. So I'm also a certified mediator. So I will also mediate cases, but primarily I'm doing the litigation right now. And so when I am a mediator, I'm doing it maybe for probate cases or smaller family law cases, but most of my work is really just litigation right now.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah.
And I know a lot of our audience, they may have been through some form of dealing with family law. They've probably been exposed to it at some level, whether that's going through their divorce or maybe in some type of custody situation. So I know everybody is familiar with the concept, but I want to kind of throw it to you, Leslie, with a very emotional type question is how do you feel about family law?
I love family law, and I think that the best part of what I do with people working with family law is getting them to a solution for their family and for their children, what's going to work for them in the future. And I can see things be kind of beyond the future, that when you're going through the divorce process, you really can't think beyond, hey, how am I going to make my bills? Like, how am I going to be able to provide for my kids? How am I going to get out of my house? Yeah. So for me, I think that that's what I have to offer, and what I love about family law is that, helping people find a solution. And then also every situation is different. Yeah. So I think with family law, you can't just say, hey, this is a cookie cutter kind of law. I mean, there's always research we're doing, or okay, well, what's going to work with this family or this personality? So I think that, that's what I have to offer, and what I kind of recommend to my clients that come in and I help.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing how things have transformed over the years.
Yeah.
It's gone from maybe 10 years ago where it was very, very cookie cutter, custody and
first, third, and
fifth,
that's
and
it.
all those things.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I think not only attorneys, but the judicial system has kind of moved into a different realm, and the communication is a lot easier, with different apps and phones and things like that. So, as our audience is maybe in a situation where family law, or going back to, let me just use the right term, going back to court is on their minds and on their brains. It's like, okay, there's a situation. So, Leslie, when should a family start considering that process? And I say that with this context, is in blended families, we know that there are opportunities for conflict. There are opportunities to disagree. There are things that happen naturally through the course of people's lives and the child's life that happen. When should that family say, you know what, we've reached the point where the litigation is got to come into play? Okay.
And I think what you have to look at is always the child's safety. So if there are safety concerns, you have, we have a lot of people who are in our community that have, struggle with alcoholism and, medication and pain meds and using pain medication and driving kids. I think that you really need to look at the safety of the children. And if you're going back to court, you better be ready, and you better have, all of your communications documented. You need to make sure you've kept a journal of these are all the things that have been happening, because, and also with technology, people record everything, right? So we go through tons of text messages, tons of, communications with parties all the time, getting ready for trial, and it is a lengthy process. So I really think if there's a safety concern, that would be a number one reason why you would need to go back. And then also, I think things have changed. Maybe you have a new relationship, the child's suffering in school, maybe this child's having mental health issues or is in need of therapy. I mean, there's all kinds of different reasons that you say, this is just not working out and I can't get through to the other side. I've tried my best. I've, tried to get a therapist involved and say, what's best for this child. So I think, that would be some reasons, you would go back and you really need to go see a judge and try to present your case to the judge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And obviously, picking the right attorney is paramount, and every family is a little bit different. What would you suggest so a family's decided to go through this process, now they're in the search for the right attorney. What questions and what would you advise clients or future clients to go and ask their attorney to prepare for that process?
I would ask first off, what courts are you in? What county? Because I see a lot of people hire attorneys that are not familiar with our judges, are not familiar with our process, are not familiar with our child custody evaluators that are in this area. You maybe need a psychiatrist or psychological evaluation, and you need to know who's the person that the judge is really going to like if you have to go to trial. So I think that that's something that you should look at, is make sure that you get an attorney that is practices in your community, in your county. Also, I think you have to lay out, these are the expectations. How do you communicate best with your attorney? Is it going to be email? Is it going to be in person? And are they available to take your case and give handle your case and be able to have enough time to manage, what you're going to need on a daily or weekly basis? So
that's good.
You have to realize as well, is this a case that maybe you've had a similar, case like that before? That can always help. And have you had that case in front of this judge? Or the judge that you could be in front of. So I think that's helpful information that you would want to know when you're reaching out to an attorney and interviewing attorneys to take on your case. And I always encourage people to stick with an attorney. And I know a lot of people will flip-flop, and we don't like bringing people into our office who are on their third or fourth attorney. That means that there's something, there's maybe unreasonable expectations. There needs to be clear boundaries of what's going to go on with the case. And I think, if it's going to be hard for you to find an attorney if you're on your third or fourth or fifth attorney.
Yeah. No, I think it's, like you said, Lizzie, I think it's good, like you said, that you're both interviewing, you're interviewing them, they're interviewing you, but being able to kind of establish a relationship, that's important, because, you need to feel like you can trust them and they're giving you all the right information, and vice versa.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Well, and you hit on so many great points, Leslie, and the next logical step is if they are professionally capable, they have the time to handle your case. Is it important that you personally connect with your attorney?
Yeah. I think that it's really important that you personally connect with your attorney, and that, hey, they have kids. They can realize this, or maybe you have a special needs kid, and there's certain situations that you're going to be more responsive to. So I think personally connecting is a part of is family law, because it is such an emotional process. It's emotionally draining. You're talking about, you've divorced who you thought was your best friend, and you've raised a family, and you're dedicated to the family and to your children and what's right for your kids. And then all of a sudden it doesn't work out, and you're back in court. So I think a personal connection is always best, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that our audience they understand kind of the process of picking an attorney, and just to reiterate, it's important to pick somebody local or somebody who's very familiar with your local judges. Obviously, picking somebody who can handle and has the time for your case. We have talked to a lot of families, and one of the things that we consistently hear is it's time to go back to court, or I'm going to take my ex-spouse back to court. And having gone through litigation, I understand that the difference between, or the distance between what you say and actually getting in front of a trial judge is a marathon of length of time and processes and depositions and all different types, mediation. So as a family law attorney, is the goal trial? Is that the goal?
When I talked with my clients, I don't ever say, we're going to trial, you have a trial case.
Yeah.
Because I think that's kind of a last resort for people, because when you're going to trial and you're going through, the temporary orders hearing, and you're going through depositions, and then you're going to mediation, and then you're putting people on the stand every time, how are you going to continue to co-parent and be able to get past all of the things that have been said? Because a lot of times on the stand, people will lie, they don't tell the truth, and there's text messages, there's recordings, so all of that is out, and it's hurtful, right? I mean, it hurts your soul, it hurts, what it hurts your kids, because then, people are talking about the cases and oh, your mom said this on the stand, your dad said this. And it all goes back to the kids, because even though we have injunctions in place that people shouldn't be talking about cases, you shouldn't be talking to the kids, they all do it. Because, you become so self-absorbed with what's happening, and during litigation, it's it takes everything out of you. It's just exhausting. So I don't ever tell people, hey, you have a trial case.
Yeah. If not trial, then what is the goal? What is the goal in family law?
I think the goal is to come to a resolution that you can live with, and when you walk out of mediation, no one really is going, hey, yeah, I really got what I wanted, or, I think I got the best deal. I got, 100% of the community estate. I mean, I don't see anyone walking out of mediation saying that. I think I can live with this situation. I know that my kid or my kids are going to be safe. I'm going to be able to recover. And I'm going to be able to heal, because you're going through a total grieving process when you're going through, litigation. So I think that's what you need to look at is, hey, this is a resolution I can live with.
And something that ultimately, that's the best for the child.
Right.
And what I would say something that that they can thrive in, an environment or an order that is ultimately going to be best for them.
Right.
Yeah. That's good.
Well, and you touch on something, and one of the things that we've talked about in a previous episode is conflict resolution styles.
Yeah.
And when you're headed into mediation, and to come out of mediation at the best place, you've kind of got to have the attitude of, I won and lost. And they won and lost, versus a lot of people go into these, litigation situations with the specific attitude of not just I want to win, but as much as I want to win, I want you to lose. I want the other party to lose, and I want to win just as bad as I want you to lose. So that if you don't have the right conflict style going into, or the right expectations of conflict style management going into a mediation or a child custody issue, I think you'll have a hard time accepting the mediation when you walk out, or the trial judge's ruling when you walk out.
Well, that's good.
How can parents set realistic expectations? And I know we talked about this before the podcast, and this is probably one of the things you hear about, and it's kind of like the person who sits down to eat the 80-ounce steak. You know, you're like, I'm going to eat the whole steak, and you're like, it's going to take a while, and it's going to be a grueling process, and you may get through this.
Right.
But the expectation that you have that this is going to be easy, or that the judge is going to automatically do this, and I'm going to be in front of a trial judge next week, and this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
How can you help parents set realistic expectations?
Send them to the courthouse and go sit on a couple of hearings.
Go watch,
Go watch. I think honestly, every case is different. So setting, realistic expectations is really hard for some people because you're only going to go through the process once. So, I think for expectations, you want to go through, what's going to work for my family now that we're in two different households and we've split up our family. What's going to work best for the kids? And that's something that is really hard for people to realize because their brain just is saying, I want to win, and it's not about winning. You have to put those emotions aside for sure. So setting that goal is really hard,
Yeah, that's good.
Is there something specifically that so a new client comes into your office and you can see the blood boiling in their eyes and they're emotionally charged and they're also talking super fast because they're that excited about what's about to happen. Is there something that you would tell prospective clients or people who are preparing for this process, just how to emotionally prepare for the entire journey?
Yeah, and I think when I get them in the beginning that they are so emotionally charged that they're just, I want out, I'm done, I'm finally ready to be done with this person, I want out. So I think that when they are charged like that I have to calm them down, and I don't speak in the same tone as them. I have to be, just even keel, because if you start, that person that person is a jerk.
Hyping it up.
You're hyping it up. It's not helping the situation. So I think me being kind of even keel on an even keel, will help kind of get them back to this is what the normal is going to be, that you can't be like this all the time or you're going to have a heart attack. You're not taking care of yourself, that you're so pumped up about it. But you have to look at it as a business decision that you are basically, you're coming in, we're dividing up your business, and then we're going to deal with the kiddo issues. We're going to get you as much time as you can have with your kids,
And on that topic, again, I want to look at what's best for children. Whether you are going through a divorce currently, or you're in a blended family situation where custody is exchanging, and a lot of families look at this as I've won in terms of time. So maybe you have a first, third, and fifth weekends, and you're we talked about this, the word primary. All of these things. In your experience, if the grounds are equal on both sides, so blended family, grounds are equal, both healthy homes, if you could tell the audience, what is the best overall custody situation for the health of the children?
Well, there's been a transition from people being called primary to what we call equal possession and access of children. So with that, you're looking at maybe what we call a 2-2-3. So, the mom will have 2 days, and then you flip, and then you have the father has the next 2 days, and then you have the weekend. So we've been doing more of the 2-2-3 access. Some people will go on the internet and research and come in and say, I want week on, week off, and I want to flip on Fridays or Sundays. And you have to realize with 50-50 and week on, week off that you're looking at 7 days away from your kid. So is that really what's best for your child? And really, I think it's tough. And you have to understand when you are doing an equal access schedule that you are moving the child from one house to another. So you're not bringing, 2 backpacks for baseball. You're not bringing,
Yeah.
you know, all the kids' homework and all their books and their laptop. And the kids are going from, you know, hauling all of those things around with 7 days worth of clothes.
Yeah.
You have to be able to say, this child can fit into mom's house, and then just fit right back into dad's house. And then
Yeah.
you transition smoothly. If you don't have that, then it's going to be really hard to do 50-50 or equal possession. And some parenting skills are not the same. So every house is going to be different.
Yeah.
So I think an equal possession and access schedule is hard as well for that.
Yeah.
And also the distance. If you're not in the same school district, if
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so if you're not in the same school district and you're having to drive an hour and exchange halfway, a 50-50 is never going to work. And judges do not like when kids are sitting in cars, you know, at 5 a.m. to go to school to get there at 7 o'clock across town.
Yeah.
That's not what's best for your kid. And so
Right,
sometimes you're going to have to say, hey, given our situation and, you know, my job transferred me, you know, out of Tarrant County,
Yeah.
then you're going to have to say to yourself, look, I'm going to get some makeup time in the summer so I can get that time,
Right,
but
right.
I'm going to have to forgo sometime during this school year, or maybe get some more time around Christmas,
Yeah.
or get every spring break.
Yeah.
So those are things that you have to, you know, kind of look at going forward if you're trying to do equal possession and access. And if you don't do that, then it's standard possession or expanded standard.
Yeah.
One of the things that kind of a revolving thing that I've heard through that process is looking at what's best for the child. Never did you mention, you know, what was best for the adult schedule.
Right.
And I think a lot of times, you know, we in blended families, you kind of look at your situation and go, well, this is what's best for me.
Yeah.
I don't know what's best for my ex-spouse. Let them decide.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're making these decisions that affect custody, health of the children by what's best for me, and you decide what's best for you.
Yeah.
Versus the two parents looking at each other going, let's make decisions on what's best for the children,
Right.
set our lives up to make this work. And if we do that, there'll be less stress on the children, which we've talked about many times. Is the stress on the children is the mirror of the stress of our blended family.
Right.
So if they're stressed, then it's not working.
Right.
So I like that. I like what you said, and I love that
Yeah.
that perspective on it. Leslie, we are also in the middle of COVID-19, and one of the questions that we've gotten a lot is transition
Yeah.
of children during COVID-19, quarantines, and some of this can be, not the fault of the parents. Maybe they're essential workers. Maybe they are people that have to, be exposed to people because of their job and their
Yeah.
livelihood. But the children are the connective device that connects two families.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we have a connective virus that goes with them,
Yeah.
Correct.
or can go with them. So what have you seen, not only from a legal perspective, just the things that you've seen in case law, of either parents not agreeing to do the transition, or there's a situation where they actually can't do a transition because of some logistical challenge?
Yeah.
Well, and with COVID too, everyone's been quarantined and they're already having emotional challenges, just
Sure.
learning homeschooling
Yeah.
and then, some parents are saying, well, it's pass fail. I'm not going to work on my homework with my son or daughter.
Yeah.
So they're going from one house to another.
Yeah.
And with COVID-19, the Governor Abbott was clear to say that the possession and access schedule that you had in your prior order is what you need to go by. So if you were if you had standard possession or you had expanded standard, that parent is still entitled to have their time. So you can't say, no, because of COVID, we're on lockdown and we can't shelter in place, and no one can go to school. So that means that, you can't go see your mom or dad. Well, that's not what we do.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
still go forward. What I've seen mostly is, I've been just calming people down, because the reality is our courts are closed right now until June 1st. If you need an emergency hearing, you can have one on Zoom. There's no Zoom hearings are not secure, right?
Yeah.
So you hear the people, Zoom dropping and all of that.
Yeah.
But I'm just calming people down right now and saying, is that really going to be what's best? Don't you kind of need a break? I mean, don't you want your kiddo to go over there?
Yeah.
I mean, and I've been getting a lot of calls, the dad's taking the child to Costco and they're not wearing masks, and you have to do what you can for protecting, right? You need to wear a mask and do what you need to, but we can't control what's not in our home, right? So we can't control third parties. We can't control dad's girlfriend that, is a nurse. I mean, you just hope that people are doing the best that they can with the situation.
Yeah.
And it is hard on everybody for sure.
Absolutely. We've gotten a few calls where from other blended families, when the other parent is not giving them access of the child, like you were talking about, when they're supposed to. And so, the question is, what do we do in these situations when they're not abiding by the papers during COVID? So what are some things that you would suggest to do in the meantime, if they're not, if their ex-spouse is not following the papers?
Well, usually if they don't follow the papers, you would file an enforcement. So you could file an enforcement and seek legal counsel. And then also I would send out an email to them attaching the governor's, there's several, you can get them off the website. So we've been doing that too, and saving those and making sure that we're sending that out to them.
Yeah.
I've even sent over some to parents on people's behalf, just to say they've tried to work it out on their own. I say, here, I'll send it as your attorney of record and send it over to the other side to tell them, you need to do what the kids need to still see the other parents.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, absolutely amazing information. And thank you so much, Leslie, for being with us, taking your time to do this. Litigation is something that is it's a little scarier part of blended families, but it's something we all face. And as a ministry that is devoted to working with blended families, we want to be able to give them this research, give them this guidance, because we know this is going to be a part of their journey at some point or another. So thank you, Leslie, for being with us.
Thank you so
we are
much.
so
Let's enjoy
excited
having you, Leslie.
For your journey. Guys, thanks so much for being a part of Blended Kingdom Families and our podcast and our special guest. We hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day and be blessed in all you do.
Love you.
It's so good.
Yeah, that was really, really good.
Guys, thanks so much for listening and watching our podcast. We are so excited that you took the opportunity to listen to Blended Kingdom Families. We hope the information was amazing for you. If you can, please take an opportunity to like, share, comment, leave a review. We would love to get your feedback.
Absolutely, you guys. We pray that this podcast blesses you today. We love you and be blessed in all that you do.